to Harvest Online.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
To all mommies.
To all mommies, Happy Mother's Day.
Say Happy Mother's Day, Jonathan.
Hello. Welcome to Harvest and Happy Mother's Day. Welcome to Harvest. Happy Mother's Day. Hi, welcome to Harvest. Happy Mother's Day.
Welcome to Harvest Online. Happy Mother's Day.
Welcome to Harvest Church. We're so glad you joined us today. Happy Mother's Day.
Hi, Harvest. Happy Mother's Day!
Welcome to Harvest Church. We're so glad you're here. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Like that, you got two.
I laughed so much that was really bad.
Bam. You want to bite?
Oh, it's not.
I gave
the
you a
Gobo bar
fork
was
for a
really all
reason.
about him, not me.
You want to bite though? Are you already recording?
Of course.
Forgot that he's already does this early on. Good morning and welcome to Harvest Online. You're supposed to say Happy Mother's Day right there.
I thought you were going to say and.
Okay, sorry. Let's try it again. Good morning. Welcome to Harvest Online and
Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day, babe.
Thank you. Kind of weird with the mask on right now.
I'm pretty excited about our new masks. They just came in today.
Those are cool.
They say, I love my church. And so,
You
man,
should get
literally.
one for today that said I love my mom. That would have been awesome. But these are really cool
Now
too.
everyone knows we didn't do that. That's okay. Happy Mother's Day, babe. And for Mother's Day, we made you a gold bar.
I made her.
We
Eden
Eden
made
Okay,
it.
so in all reality, if you went to APS, you know what a gold bar is. And right now, I need you to put the fire emoji in the comments because you know these are fire. These are absolutely amazing. If you've never had one, I just feel bad for you. So we're going to celebrate Mother's Day by eating a gold bar today in your honor
Oh, thank you.
because I love you so much. And girls, our series today is
New normal.
New Normal. And because it's Mother's Day, we're talking about new normal and family.
Awesome.
I think it's going to be amazing. Families have a chance right now to hit the reset button to create a new normal for their family. And I'm super excited about what God's doing today. So, y'all ready to worship?
Yes.
All right, let's join our worship team right now. Let's worship. Thank you for being here today. And once again, happy Mother's Day.
Good morning. We are so excited that you are able to join us this morning. And happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there. We're just going to get into worship here, but before we do that, let's just take a moment and invite God's presence wherever we are this morning. Lord, I just pray that your presence would be in every bedroom, God, every living room, every kitchen, wherever people are, God, joining us in worship today. I pray that your presence would be there and be with them. And we thank you for what you're going to do today. In Jesus' name, amen. All things have passed away. Your love has stayed the same. Your constant grace remains the cornerstone.
Good morning, Harvest. Welcome to Harvest Online. We are glad that we're sharing this Sunday morning together with you. As you're watching us today, a couple of things we'd like for you to do. If you haven't connected with us through a card or a comment, we want you to like us, give us a comment, share what we're doing on Facebook. We want as many people as you know that can hear the message of hope that we're sharing with our world today. It is amazing that what is taking place around the world, the heart of generosity. I look at it a lot on Facebook. I watch my friends who pastor around the country, and every church is seemingly understanding this is not the time to pull back. This is a time to move forward. And I'm so glad here at Harvest Church, our heart to give is out of a spirit of generosity. We want to thank you for your faithful giving and sharing with what God has blessed you with every week that enables us to do what we do and to reach and touch people's lives. One of the amazing things that happened this last week is that a pastor friend of mine on the reservation, we were able to help him as he navigates what is taking place on the reservation. We were able to supply food and supplies, necessities that they need. The reason we were able to do that is because of your generosity. So on the screen, there's several different ways you can give. We want to thank you for your generosity. Thank you for giving out of our hearts, out of the abundance of our hearts and what God has given us. And so we love you and we're thankful that you're watching us today. Pastor Jason is coming to talk to us about the new normal. We love you. God bless you.
Hey, welcome to Harvest Online and happy Mother's Day. Can you believe we're celebrating Mother's Day online? Why don't you do me a favor and in the comments, go ahead right now and let's wish all of our moms a happy Mother's Day. Just put it in the comments, tag them right now. And from Harvest to all of our moms and all of your moms, happy Mother's Day. And I want to say a special happy Mother's Day to Lisa and to my mom and to my mother-in-law this morning. What a fantastic morning. I'm so glad you are joining us today. In honor of Mother's Day, this past Friday, we actually honored single moms. We were able to deliver 25 single moms across Albuquerque some dinner from Bubba's 33. Moms, I hope that you feel the love today and all weekend long. Happy Mother's Day. We are in a series right now called New Normal. The series started because over and over, I'm hearing people ask this question. You've probably heard it. When are we going to get back to normal? And my thesis is that I don't know that we should go back to normal. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things about how we used to do life that I'm excited about getting back to. I can't wait until I'm preaching to a room full of people. You know, normally I'm preaching this message and it's just me and Tyler in the room. Today, we doubled our physical attendance because Jose is here with us today. So I'm feeling a little bit better, but I can't wait until all of you are here. That will feel good to go back to normal. I can't wait to sit down in a restaurant and get free refills on my drink and my chips and my queso. I can't wait, but there are parts of how we used to do things that I don't think we're supposed to go back to. So today, in light of Mother's Day, I thought it would be a great day to talk about new normal and family. Now, without doubt, this season, I'm sure, has affected your family. Families are together more. Parents are now homeschool teachers. Parents, many of you are now acting as the pastor in your family. We're streaming a kids program, but when it ends, you are pastoring your children. Things have changed for families. Schedules are off. I don't know what your schedule looks like, but we're eating dinner at 9 o'clock at night now. I mean, things are off. Whatever your family dynamic looked like on March the 10th, undoubtedly it's different today on May the 10th. One of the things for my family that has been different is that we've been taking walks together a lot of evenings. We'll take our dog Cooper and we'll go out, we'll walk down. There's some trails near our house and we'll go out for a walk. And this week we were out walking and one of the girls mentioned how much they're enjoying these walks during this season of quarantine. And I looked at the girls and I said, we can do this even when we're not in quarantine. And then we began to talk about the things we've discovered in this season that we want to keep when all of this is over. The girls commented that they're enjoying us cooking together and eating at home together more. And one of the things we've been doing lately is we set up cornhole in our backyard. We've been playing cornhole tournaments, and Lisa and I were the reigning champions for like 3 nights in a row. Okay, so we're enjoying playing cornhole together. We're enjoying being together. We're enjoying being with our dog Cooper more. In fact, I think he might be the happiest of everyone in the family. He's enjoying us being around. There are plenty of good things that have come out of this season for families. And yes, there are also plenty of challenges. But here's what I hope you'll see today is that we have a unique opportunity. The opportunity is this. This crisis has given us an opportunity to reset. I mean, it's as if all across the nation, the reset button has been pushed. And here's what I want us to take advantage of this reset opportunity. Now, I know this will date me, but I grew up playing the original Nintendo. I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of playing the original Nintendo. Pastor Tyler actually had one, so he let me borrow it for this morning. This is an original Nintendo. I think we'll get a close-up shot of this for you to enjoy this morning. And here's what this season has reminded me of. It's the reset. If you grew up playing the original Nintendo, you will remember this trick. Sometimes the game would stop working. And so what you had to do is you turned it off. You had to hard reset it. You'd turn it off and you would pull the game out, okay? And I think, let's see, I should have practiced this. There we go. Here's the game. We have original Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. All right, give me a fist bump in the comments if you liked playing these games. All right, and here's what you would do. And millennials are gonna make fun of me for this. It's okay. This is how you did it. You took the game out of the console and you had to blow into this part right here. All right, so you'd blow into it. Just like that. For some of you, that just took you back. I mean, you in your mind, you are now, 12 years old again playing Duck Hunt or Contra. If you don't remember the cheat code for that, it's up, down, left, right, BA, select, start. And if you never played that, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You would take the game out, you would blow into it, then you would put it back into the machine and you would turn it on, and that was the hard reset. Why am I talking about the original Nintendo and the hard reset? Because I'm telling you, this is what has happened in our world today, is that the hard reset has been pushed. And here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that you see the opportunity. You can choose right now to see what's happening in our world as a huge inconvenience, or you can see the opportunity. I'm hoping you see the opportunity, the hard reset. Here's how I've been saying it lately. When things go back, because they're going to, when all of this is over and things go back, you don't have to go back. Take a minute and think about your family and what normal used to look like. Chances are there are things about the old normal that you don't want to go back to. Maybe your schedules were so busy that you barely saw one another. Maybe you were overcommitted and you'd signed up for so many things, but you didn't know how to change that. Maybe you wished you could eat dinner together more often. Maybe you dreamed of taking more family time together. I don't know what the old normal was, but I'm pretty sure that for most of us, there's some things about the way we used to do things that we would say today, I don't want to go back to that. When things go back, friend, you don't have to go back to the old normal. But let me be clear, this season that we're in, many are talking about this season as the new normal. But I'm here to tell you today, this is not the new normal. We are currently in what I'm calling the in-between. We're not where we were, and we're not where we're going to end up. We're somewhere in the middle. We're in the in-between. And the awesome part about in-between is that now we have the ability to change from what was and create something new. So I'm going to challenge you today. When it comes to your family, whatever your family dynamic is, maybe you're single, engaged, married without kids, married with kids, widowed, whatever your family dynamic looks like, here's my challenge to you today. Don't just go back to the way that things used to be. Let's create a new normal for our family. Decide now in the in-between what new normal is going to look like for your family. Because here's the danger. You have to decide now, because the danger is that the natural pull will be back towards the old normal. The natural pull will be back towards whatever you used to do, however you used to do it. Listen, you will naturally gravitate back towards, which is why right now in the in-between, we have to make a decision. This will be the new normal. You see your old normal, the normal schedule, the normal rhythms, the normal activities, how you used to do things, when you used to do things, all of this, that will be the easiest thing to go back to. For many families, especially with young kids, part of the old normal was sports. And maybe you signed your kids up for, 2 or 3 or 17 different sports. And you were going every night. And you were going on weekends. And you were signing them up. And you were paying extra for coaching. And listen, I'm not against any of that. I grew up playing sports. But we're in a culture today where sports has begun to take over. And if that's you today, if that's you, your family dynamic, here's the good news is the world has pushed the reset button. You didn't know how you could unsign your kid up from all the things you'd committed them to. Maybe it wasn't sports, maybe it was something else, but maybe you've been living this overcommitted life, and all of a sudden the world has pushed the reset button. You have a chance now to define new normal. Maybe your schedule was just too busy. Maybe moms, dads, maybe you worked too much. Maybe you were a workaholic, but you didn't know how to stop. You were in the rat race, right? The wheel was turning, and you were afraid that if you stopped, the whole thing would come apart. The good news is the reset button has been pushed. We have to decide now in the in-between what new normal is going to look like. If you don't decide now, you will naturally go back to what you knew, because what you knew, whether you liked it or you didn't, it's comfortable. It's what you'll naturally go back to. Here's what the enemy wants for you. I just want to make you aware. The enemy wants you to be indecisive in the in-between. The enemy wants you right now to just get through this season. The enemy wants you to not make up your mind. I'm trying to challenge you today. Decide now what the new normal is, because what the enemy wants is for you just to keep putting it off. The enemy wants you to just keep waiting. The enemy's hoping that you don't make a decision, because he knows as soon as things go back, a whole lot of people are just naturally going to go back to what they knew. Decide now what your new normal is going to be. There's too many people that today the focus is on simply surviving the crisis. I'm hoping, because we're 8 weeks into this thing now. I'm trying to shift your mindset. It's not just about surviving now. It's becoming about thriving. I don't want you just counting the days until this is over. I'm hoping to challenge you. Let's use our time wisely. Let's decide now in the in-between what new normal will be for our families. I want to look today at a guy in the Bible named Joshua. You've probably heard something he said, because it's kind of become famous. In Joshua chapter 24, verse 15, this is maybe the most famous line from all of Joshua's life. Joshua says these words. He says, "Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve." And then he makes this bold statement, "But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." If you've heard that statement before, just go ahead and put a fist bump in the comments, or maybe the muscle emoji, because this is a powerful statement. Joshua is taking a stand. He says, as for me and my house, he says, choose. But as for us, we are going to serve the Lord. Now, this may surprise you, because honestly, it surprised me this week as I studied Joshua. I've heard this verse, this powerful statement, literally my entire life. I've seen it on t-shirts and posters and signs and in church offices. I'm familiar with the statement. And in my mind, this statement came from a young Joshua. Maybe he's just gotten married, or maybe he's just had, some children. And it sounds to me like he's making a statement as a young man. As for me and my house, he's leading the home. As for our family, we are going to serve the Lord. To me, it was a commitment of how he was going to lead his family. Would it surprise you to learn that this is actually very near to the end of his life? Just 14 verses later, in verse 29, it says this: "After these things, Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. At this point in his life, Joshua is an old man, and he's reflecting back on his life. Now don't get me wrong, Joshua lived this phrase. He chose to serve the Lord. He lived this out. He wasn't only now making the decision at 110. This was the anthem of his life. But when I realized that he made this at the end of his life, I thought I should come to you today and I should encourage you, don't wait till the end to make this decision. Decide now, in the in-between, while the whole world is in a reset. We don't have to go back to what's normal. We get to create a new normal. But I need to warn you, change will be required to move forward into the new normal. Change will be required. I'm sure you've heard the saying, what got you here won't get you there. But here's what you do need to know, is that what you've been doing is exactly what's gotten you here. If you look back at the old normal and there's things that you hope you can change, things you hope not to go back to, what you need to know is that what you've been doing, the way you've been living life, the pace you've been living life, the decisions you've been making, all of that has led to the family dynamic that you currently have. So if you want something new, you're going to have to do something new. We said this last week as we looked at the story as Jesus talked about the new wine requiring new wineskin. We made this statement, new requires new. Can I just challenge you in your family dynamic today that if you want something different, if you want something that is new, it's going to require some new things, some new thoughts, some new patterns, some new rhythms, some new ways of interacting with one another. Some of this change, I just need to tell you, it's going to be hard. Change for most people is not easy. Change is challenging. Some of your friends, your coworkers, maybe even your family may not understand. They may say, man, that family is strange. That's just another way of them saying that is abnormal, right? Listen, we're not going for normal. We're going for a new normal. So go ahead and create a new normal for your family. Look at Joshua again, but now let's go to the beginning of the book. Joshua chapter 1, verses 1 through 6. It says this: "After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, who was Moses' aide, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all of these people," he's talking about the people of Israel, he says, "you and all these people get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land that I am about to give you to the Israelites." Listen, when I read this story again this week, I read it a bunch, but when I read it this week, something inside me, my spirit just leapt. And I'll tell you why. Because God is saying to the people of Joshua, and I believe that Joshua is leading, and I believe he's saying it to you and I today. He's saying, get ready because I'm going to take you somewhere new. Listen, crossing the river here, the Jordan, was a big deal. I mean, they've been wandering in the desert under Moses' leadership for 40 years, and now finally they're on the edge. I mean, they're at the edge of the river. They're getting ready to cross into something new that has been promised to them for over 40 years. They're getting ready to go into the new. And God makes a promise to Joshua in verse 3. He says, I'll give you every place where you set your foot, just like I promised Moses. And he says, your territory will extend, and he gives them the boundaries where his territory will be. And then he says in verse 5, no one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. And then he says this, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Can I ask you a question today? What new normal would you create for your family if you knew you couldn't fail? What new normal would you create if this was God's promise to you? Because I believe that it is. I believe he's saying to us today, I am with you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to abandon you. I haven't abandoned you yet, and I'm not going to abandon you now. What new normal would you create if you knew that God was going to stand with you? And then God does something that I find interesting. God encourages Joshua, not just once, but 3 different times. Verse 6, he says to Joshua, be strong and courageous. Verse 7, he says, be strong and very courageous. And then verse 9, he says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. I find myself asking this week, why did God tell Joshua the same thing 3 times? And I think it was because God knew how hard this was going to be. Joshua begins by crossing the Jordan, and then he begins a 7-year conquest where he has to defeat enemy after enemy after enemy. Here's what you need to see in this story today as it relates to your family and new normal is that new is not easily attained. There will be plenty of challenges along the way. There will be plenty of battles along the way. There will be plenty of obstacles along the way. And here's what I know about challenges. I'm about to blow your mind. Challenges are challenging. And God knew that Joshua would need encouragement. And God knows today that some of you need to be encouraged. And so he starts out with a triple dose. He says, be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Can I just say over you as you create a new normal for your family today? Be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Don't back down. You know why? Because it's going to be worth it. And here's why, is that new normal creates a new trajectory. Listen, I love this word, trajectory. Your life, your family is on a trajectory right now. That just means that it's headed in a certain direction. There's a path that your family is headed on right now. And new normal can actually alter the trajectory for your family. If you don't like the trajectory that your family is currently on, you can change it. Here's what I love about the gospel. I love that the gospel is the power to change. And I love that when it comes to family, when it comes to moms and dads and generations of family, that the gospel is not just the power for you to change, it's actually the power for your entire family tree to change. New normal can set your entire family tree on a new trajectory. I love the stories of generations of not following Christ, generations of addiction, generations of sin, generations of pain, and then one man or one woman says, you know what? We are not going to live this way any longer. And they find Christ, and they find hope, and they accept the forgiveness of sins, and they receive the power of the Holy Spirit. And all of a sudden, it's not just a new branch that grows off of a tree. It's as if a whole new family tree is planted, and from there on, generations to follow can now walk in the blessing and the favor of God. So I'm asking today, why not for you and your family? Why not today? Why not Mother's Day 2020? And I have a question for you as you think about this. What is just one part of your family's old normal that if you could change it today would create a new trajectory for your family? What's just one change, that if you could shift that today, would literally put your entire family on a new trajectory. Now, if you attend Harvest, if you listen to our teachings very much, you'll know that I really like getting practical. What I found myself wanting to do in this message was to bring you to this point and then to give you a list, maybe 10 things that you could do that would put your family on a new trajectory. But what I really felt impressed was that it wasn't up to me to create the practical steps for this new normal, that the practical for you needs to be very personal. In other words, what needs to happen is that the Holy Spirit would begin to show you what new normal can look like for your family. And then you need the courage. This is why God said to Joshua, be strong and courageous, because you're going to need the courage to pursue the new normal. So I'd like to end this way. I feel like the Lord is leading me to speak prophetically over your family. In fact, He woke me up this morning and He put this in my heart. So I'm going to share it with you today, because this is what I see in the spiritual realm as I think about my family and your family. Joshua chapter 1, the Lord begins to instruct Joshua. He says, be strong and courageous. Everywhere I send you, I'm going to give it. Everywhere your foot lands, I'm going to give it to you. He sends him out. And in Joshua chapter 3, I want to take you there. This is where we're going to end today. Joshua chapter 3 says this. Early in the morning, Joshua and the Israelites set out, and they went to the Jordan where they camped before crossing over. Here's what I want you to see. Joshua and the people of Israel found themselves in the in-between. They'd left everything they knew. They were headed towards something new, and all of a sudden they're camped on the shores of the Jordan. They're camped there and they're waiting to cross the river. And it says this, after 3 days, the officers went through the camp giving orders to the people. Listen to the orders. They say, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, which all that means, when you see the ark represented the presence of God, when you see the presence of God and the Levitical priests carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and to follow it. And I want you to pay attention to this. Verse 4, then you will know which way to go, since you've never been this way before. He's saying, when you follow the presence of God, you're going to know which way to go, and you've never been there. You know why? Because it's a new normal. It don't look anything like the old way. We don't have a pattern for it. We don't have a playbook for it. We don't have a rhythm for it. It's new. And I love the instruction to the people. When you see the presence of God, follow it, because then you'll know where to go. Can moms, dads, can I say over you today, as you're praying about new normal for your family, can I just say over you today, pursue the presence of God, because He'll show you where to go. And it's okay that you've never been there, because it's new. But listen to me, new requires new. For so many of you, you have something in your heart that you so desperately want something new for your family, but it's so hard for you to leave what you've always known. Can I just help you today that the new is better than anything you've ever known? And in verse 5, Joshua tells the people, he comes to the people, they know they're waiting to watch the presence of God move so they can begin to follow. And Joshua comes and he says to them, he says, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. I just want you to know today that all week long, as I've been praying and preparing for Mother's Day, that this is what I'm praying for you, that the Lord would do amazing things in your family. The gospel is the power to change. The gospel is the power to create a new trajectory. The gospel is the power for a new family tree. Listen to me. You do not have to put up with the old. There is an opportunity right now. Right now, the entire world has pushed the reset button. And I want to encourage you today, in just a moment, we're going to actually go back into a time of worship. We've got a couple of songs planned for you. And in this time, right there in your living room with your family, would you begin to ask the Holy Spirit to show you what the new normal is for you and your family? Because new requires new. And I'll promise you, the new is going to be better than anything you've ever known in the old. Embrace the new normal.
Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to only you. Oh, you're so great. Oh, we worship. Oh, you're so great. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great
Hey, thanks for joining us today for Harvest Online. Listen, I asked a question at the end of the message, and I want to ask it one more time. We're thinking this week, what's one thing about the old normal of our families that we could change that would literally put us on a new trajectory? It's one thing to ask ourselves that question. It's another thing to get in a group of other believers and talk about that. I want to encourage you today, be sure to join your Connect group on the Zoom call following this service so that you can dig deeper into what God is doing in you and your family as we create a new normal. And now I'd love to bless you. Whatever is going on this week, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, may the Lord bless you, keep you, cause His face to shine upon you, give you grace now and forever. Harvest, go be the church.